Okay, characteristics of a function. Here's what you need to know. A function has something we call domain and what? Range. Generally speaking, the domain matches with the x values and range maps with the y values. It doesn't have to be the case. You can have y be the domain and x be the range, but for most stuff we do, it's this way. The domain we call the inputs, and the range we call the outputs. And generally speaking, the x variable we call the independent. And once we choose the x, the y is determined by the function. So the y value is dependent on whatever x value we choose. Okay. So, any basketball players? One? Sam? All right, me and Sam. Tanner, all right. Okay, great. All right. So, me and Sam playing basketball. We're on the same team. What up? You do whatever you want. Sam and I we're playing basketball, okay? And as we're playing, game ends, and you look in the, score sheet at the end, the box score. Is it possible that the game could end and Sam could have 14 points and I could have 12? Yeah, it's possible. We are the inputs. The score is the outputs. Is it possible that at the end of the game that he could have 60 points and I could have 60 points? Is it possible that he could have 0 points and I could have 0 points? Is it possible to look in the box score and see my name listed twice, that I scored 10 points and I scored 20 points? Why? Yeah, I mean, it would have to be, but as far as, you would look at that, you'd say, well, either there was like a brother or they missed something. Like they should have had Moyer 10 points against 20 points, right? Because one person is going to produce one amount of points. Each input will correspond to one output. Can they correspond to the same output? Could you look in the box score and see the 5 starters all score 0 points? The team gets shut out. Yeah, sometimes it's called 4th grade basketball, right? That's what you see. But that's true, okay? So you can see all of the outputs be exactly the same. However, you can also see the outputs go to different values. But you can't open up the box score and see that Sam scored 2 points, 8 points, and 29 points in the same game. That would be stupid, right? That's not a function if you see it. What a function is, and you have to memorize this exactly for the test. If you don't, it will be incorrect. A function is a relation in which every element of the domain corresponds to exactly one element in the range. What's that? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. A function is a relation in which every element in the domain corresponds to exactly one element in the range. Okay? So this you have to memorize. And it's amazing. You get to college and you ask some kids, what's a function? And they don't know what it is. They know that a function must pass what test? The vertical line test. But the fact is that they don't know this actual description. And the nice thing about functions is we have confidence that when we plug something in, we're only going to get one thing out. There's no question. So it gives us a name. This function is called f, and the variable is x, and we want to evaluate f of -3, f of 0, f of 2, f of a, and f of a minus b. So all we do is we replace the x with whatever we see. So in this situation, 3 times -3 minus 5. What is 3 times -3? -9 minus 5, -14. F of 0. 3 times 0 minus 5, -5. F of 2. 3 times 2 minus 5, or 6 minus 5 is 1. What do I do for f of a? 3a minus 5. And for a minus b, 3 times a minus b minus 5. Write it without the parentheses to see if anything combines. We get 3a minus 3b minus 5. How's that? Review? You try B on your own. Look up here, check your answers when you're done. What do you think? Get it? Know what you're doing? Got an email today from one of your siblings who wants to guess. Nope. 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 Ella. Got an email from Ella. Ella sends a special hi to the 7th hour precalculus class. She seems to think that Foster is disruptive in class. Yeah. Any questions on those problems? Okay, then we move to something, looks like C and D are a little bit more difficult, huh? They're really not. We can't do f of a and we can't do f of a minus b, but these problems are what we call piecewise functions. You're going to have to graph these later on during the course of this unit. And what a piecewise function is that you can take different graphs, like an upside down parabola, a line, a square root function, an absolute value function. You're familiar with these. And you can literally piece them together. So you can draw a portion of the parabola. You can draw a portion of the line, and then a portion of the radical, and then part of the absolute value. That is a function. It's not a smooth function. It definitely has some corners to it. But that is a function that we can write a rule for. And what makes something a function is it has a very specific range that's determined by a specific domain. So given a domain less than 0, I use the top one. Given a domain greater than or equal to 0, I use the bottom one. So f of -3, f of 0, and f of 2. I want to evaluate those three. If I want to know what f of -3 is, what do? Do I use the top one or the bottom one? I use the top one. Why? Because -3 is less than 0. Okay, that satisfies the given domain. So I plug it in. 2 times -3 minus 1 is -7. F of 0, which one do I use, the top or bottom? The bottom. Why? Because 0 is equal to 0, and that satisfies that domain. So I produce the range by using -1/2 times 0 squared minus 3/2 times 0, which of course is 0. F of 2, top or bottom? Bottom. -1/2 times 2 squared minus 3/2 times 2. 2 squared times -1/2 minus 3/2 times 2. Minus 3. -2 minus 3. This is the result. Any questions on those two? Those three. Okay, then we try a different one. F of -3, f of 0, f of 2. F of -3, top, bottom, or middle? Bottom. 2 times the cubed root of 5 minus -3. 5 minus -3? 8, cubed root of 8. So 2 times 2 was just before. F of 0, top, middle, or bottom? Middle. There's nowhere to plug the 0 in for. What is the function value all the time? 18. F of 2, top, middle, or bottom? Bottom. 9 times 2 minus 2, or 18 minus 2 is 16. Any question on those three? Right. I'll show you tomorrow. What you do is you enter the function, and then I can't remember if you put a comma and then the domain, but you have to actually do a y1, y2, y3. You can't enter them for a single thing on your calculator, unless something is different with the 84s. On the ACT, yes, you are. You may not use a TI-92, but none of you have one of those, so. You don't know enough math for it to really matter, sorry. So. Okay, so here's something that a lot of your calculators, there's an equation solver built in where you can simply type in an equation, it will find the solution for you. Now, we can actually do that on the 83 and the 84, but it's not readily set up for you to do that. Whereas the 85, the 86, the 92, those are readily available. But even the TI-92 will even find antiderivatives for you, which in calculus is difficult to do, and it will just find them for you. Well, not like that. It takes a while, but that's difficult. All right. I can't, but don't worry. Everything that you guys have should be fine for the ACT. Okay, we try something more difficult, okay? Because that was child's play. You guys all know that. That's a review from last year. But I'm losing some of you guys. There's some sleepy eyes out there. Some of you, sleep begets sleep. So some of you guys had too much sleep over break, okay? So I think what we should do is I say go, and we do like a fire drill where you just get up, you just switch spots with somebody. You ready? I'm going to say go, and you got 5 seconds to find a new spot. 1, 2, 3, go! Oh, Eli thinks he's big time. Wow, look at that. All right. I used to do that with Seventh Hour, and we could do that where all of a sudden I just press pause and I say go, and we speed walk around the e-house and come back in. Yep. Not today, not today, but we already did a drill. See, did you know when you hunch over like that, your body only takes in about 60% of the amount of oxygen it needs, and so if you sit up straight and take in 3 deep breaths, your brain will get back to normal. You're actually entering comatose state. Your body's saying, ooh, time to hibernate. You don't want that, okay? All right. Here we go. We want to find now something different. We want to evaluate that expression, f of a plus h minus f of a all over h. So, in order to do that, I'm first going to write what f of a is. Would you agree that f of a in this case will simply be a squared? And f of a plus h will be the quantity a plus h squared. Everybody good with that? So if I write out f of a plus h minus f of a all over h, what that would look like is a plus h, quantity squared, minus a squared all over h. You good? Now, let's see if anything simplifies or cancels. What is a plus h squared? Two ah plus h squared. I have a minus an a squared all over h. What do you notice? The a squareds cancel. Everything that remains has at least one h. That means I can factor out an h, leaving with 2a plus h all over h. What happens now? H's cancel, leaves you with 2a plus h. So that's what this expression boxed in blue, that's what it simplifies to, 2a plus h. You may wonder, why are we doing this? Again, all mathematics is to prepare you for calculus. And this is something that we do often in calculus. In fact, in calculus, one thing we look at is, well, how many points do you need to find slope? 2. In calculus, we just need 1. That might seem absurd that you can find slope given 1 point, but that's all you need. And we use this. We attach something else to it. We attach a limit piece, but we use this. So you're going to use this next year, and getting a little bit of a taste of it's going to help you out here a little bit. So we try this one, g of a. We're going to do the same thing, except instead of f, we're going to have a g. What's g of a? 2a minus 3. G of a plus h is 2 times a plus h minus 3. So what you need to be careful of when you set this up is that last subtraction sign that, you know, we go to distribute that, and we're careful with it. So 2 times a plus h minus 3 minus g of a is parentheses 2a minus 3 all over h. Let's simplify that. 2a is 2h minus 3 minus 2a plus 3 all over h. What cancels? Everything that doesn't have an h, right? So you're left with 2h over h 2. See if you can do h of x on your own. Try that. If you need help getting it set up, raise your hand. I'll help you set it up. Okay, you got to be able to set it up like that. If you don't have it set up right, you're not going to get it correct. Just simply do the bottom, or this part, the h of a plus h minus the h of a. And remember the parentheses on the end, so you distribute that negative. We get 5a plus 5h. This will be a squared plus 2ah plus a squared, correct? So you distribute the negative, minus a squared minus 2ah minus h squared, then a minus 5a and a plus a squared all over h. If you get to this point and something doesn't have an h and doesn't cancel, then you did something incorrect. It must cancel. The a squareds go away. The 5a's go away. Everything else has an h. Factor out the h. H's cancel. Yo. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. What up, dog? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't you just have to choose 6. I forgot to tell him that. Oh, you knew that. I told you that. Okay, great. All right. Yeah. Just in the bin right there. That black bin right there. Yep, there you go. Yep. Okay, last one, and then you guys can work. All right, now we got 3 terms. 3a squared minus a plus 2. 3 times a plus h, quantity squared, minus the quantity a plus h, plus 2. Oh boy. Write it all out. K of a plus h minus k of a all over h. So 3 times a plus h squared minus a plus h plus 2 minus parentheses 3a squared minus a plus 2 all over h. Are you ready? Haley says, this is so easy I can do it myself. Well, look at that. She scoffs at my mathematics. She's like, give me something difficult. Okay, Haley, while we work on that one, this is your function. 2x squared plus 1 over the cubed root of x minus 1. Figure out f of a plus h minus f of a over h for that. Call me in 3 years. Okay. Multiplies out. 3a squared plus, what's going to be in the middle? What's going to be in the middle? 6ah plus 3h squared minus a minus h plus 2 minus 3a squared plus a minus 2 all over h. Oh boy. What? Cancels. Negative 3a squared, positive 3a squared. What else? Positive a, negative a. Dos. Spanish for 2. Then we've got left 6ah plus 3h squared minus h all over h. Factor out an h. How to get the 1? This one's plus, that one's minus. If you can do this, you can find slope at 1 point, which you'll learn next year. Here's your assignment. It looks lengthy. It is not. You simply are going to plug stuff in. I would just like to make notice now that Mercedes did not give kind of the evil eye once during this lesson. Are you happy that we moved on from word problems? Parker looked angry when he saw we weren't doing word problems today. He's like, come on. He said, this is easy. I want a challenge. You took a test on that. Okay, there you go. You got it. That's your assignment.